Hey everybody. So I wanted to, number one, I love this mic I've got. I finally got this thing dialed in. It's nice and deep bassy, kind of not too bassy, but I'm running this Shure mic. It's mostly like all the other podcast mics, same manufacturer, but it allows both USB and XLR in. But I'm using the USB portion of it, or I'm sorry, the XLR portion, and running it through a Focusrite 2i2. For those who you want to get technical. But the purpose of this video is to kind of show you my solar, how it's progressing here. And I wanted to first off, this is the typical login when you log into Edison. I'm going to show you, this is basically says I don't know a balance. I'm in month 7 of 12. My settlement date is in November. That's when I first started, was, what do you call it? The permit was, I was allowed to push back to the grid or allowed to connect my solar to the grid. And so this amount keeps coming down every month as I keep producing more and pushing back more. They take a percentage and they lower this amount on the settlement, and then they kind of break it up. I'm not sure their formula, but like I think I owed $8 because you still have a connect charge here nor there, whether you have solar or not. You're still, it's roughly with taxes and everything else, it's like $18, something like that. But the more solar you produce offsets that amount. So the part of this video I wanted to show you today was basically usage and how I look at my usage. So I've got 21 days. I don't pay too much attention to this, and I'll tell you why. It's off by a day. We're at the 25th of June, and this is only up till the 23rd, so they're off by maybe 2 days even. And this says usage to date is minus 16. If I go show in dollars, it'll say $13 like that, but I'll show in kilowatts. So I don't go by this. I do go by this, and this is how I calculate my spreadsheet. So this gives me a total, and my total here is, if I clicked on it right now, yesterday I pushed back 11.04 kilowatt hours to the grid. Off peak is total. On peak is during the week. On peak during the week. That's a good way to remember it. Okay, so this was last weekend, so you see it doesn't read anything here, but during the week, here's my on peak. So, and I'll show you in a minute what hours this covers. It'll actually tell you right here, 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. Weekends and holidays, but this is mislabeled, and I'll explain that in a minute here. And then you got mid-peak, which is 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. weekends and holidays. So, a little confusion here, but I did a spreadsheet. I'd be more than happy to give you a copy, a link, whatever to it, and you can use it in your own environment. Spent a lot of time on it, refining it, but let me bring that up right now, and then I can explain things a little better. See if I can get it. I got it somewhere hiding in here. Okay. Here's my spreadsheet. I usually do this during the billing cycle, which is 6/15 through, I think it's going to be 7/14, 7/15. I left room for extra rows here, and just in case. Some go 30 days, some go 31, some go 32, but here's my days. So I'm in day 10. And right here, I'm going to start with this. This is production. I get these readings right off of the SolarEdge. I have SolarEdge. Other people have Enphase. Those are the two big hitters out there. But let me get that up here, and I can show you a little bit more. So that is over here, and this was yesterday. So we're looking at yesterday. And just to explain this graph, when solar's not being produced, I'm consuming. I'm always consuming to some extent. So here I am consuming. Well, right around 5:45, the sun comes up, and I start to produce, and I'm producing. I'm still consuming, but when you're consuming within a production, solar production, that's called self-consumption. And you can still, see I'm still consuming here, but solar is overtaking that by this graph here. Starts to come down right here, and it kind of cross-references here, and then it starts to drop. So now I'm consuming more than I'm producing, and right around, what was that, 8 o'clock, no more production, it's 0. So at that point, I'm back to only consumption. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I'm back to consumption here because I'm not offsetting enough of the solar production to overtake the consumption, if that makes sense. So no more self-consumption. I run the only air conditioner we have in the house is one in my office. It gets extremely hot with all the computers in here. So I run I think it's an 8,000 BTU. So it's roughly, and I calculated all this when I went ahead and determined how many. I have 32 panels up on my roof, but this is what I determined what I would be using based on an air conditioner. I also took into effect possibly an electric car somewhere down the road, but I doubt that'll ever happen in my lifetime. But anyway, so here's this. And you can see up here on these charts, this was an issue where SolarEdge had some problems where these weren't reading correctly. If I go back to a date, I can show you here. If I go back to go back to June 1st, this thing was a mess. I wasn't getting anything, a breakout of export. I'd have to basically export this to a CSV, which is for Excel. The figures in here were correct, but they weren't correct here, which is just more work on me. But as I go into the days, you can see they were trying to fix it, and it gets pretty nasty in here. They tried to correct it as much as possible, but there's a day, I think it's the 4th, it just gets really, maybe it's not. And they can't fix the history on this. They told me they couldn't. See that quick drop off like that? I was still producing. It didn't just drop out of nowhere. I think it was probably the 7th, I think, that they couldn't fix. Yeah. See here, I was producing, but they couldn't tell me what I was producing because they were fixing the issue. I think we were 2 days like that. I think the 8th was the same. Yeah, 8th. And I think on the 9th they fixed it. Yeah, so they kind of fixed it somewhere in here, and everything started working. I think if I go to the 10th, it looks good. 11th, yeah. Now we're flying here. Okay, that's the typical day with good sunshine, no marine layer, that sort of thing. We do get marine layer around here. So anyway, let me go back to the 24th so I can show you the chart. So here's my self-consumption. Self-consumption on the production and the consumption side are typically both the same. So if we go back to my spreadsheet here, come on, where you at? Okay, so 29.57 and 29.57. Remember I said they're both the same. But I did export 38.54. So I'm going to go back. 38.54, and I imported from the grid 27.99, and that's 27.99. So that came out to total production of 6811, total consumption 5756. So basically I exported, when that's a negative number, I exported 10.55 back to the grid. And then we come over to the Edison side of things. And if I look at Edison, let me go back here. Off peak on the 24th was 21.21. So that's 21.21. And then if I go to on peak, that was 10.17. 10.17. So that gave me a total usage of, I pushed 11 point, I ended up with a negative amount, meaning I got a credit back on the grid I pushed 11.04 back to the grid. According to Edison, according to my current transformers, I pushed 10.55. Now, the discrepancy between these two values is about a half a kilowatt. But anything positive's in my favor, and I'll take that any day. This has been pretty accurate within 1 kilowatt hour. So I'm not really, I'd be nitpicking if I was nitpicking down to the half a kilowatt. But that's fine by me. We're talking cents here. We're not talking dollars. And then this is my my running average. So I'm right now at about minus 12. That's my running average. According to Edison, come back here. Where do I have it? Edison, I am at minus 11. Okay, but keep in mind, they're always a little, they're saying through June 25th. I don't have any readings here yet. Well, I know we're on the 25th right now, but I don't have any readings. Those readings are going to also appear in mid-peak because this is a weekend. All right. That's about it. I'm pretty happy with the spreadsheet. I took a lot of time correcting. I'm more than happy to provide you a link to it if you want to use it for your own internal tracking. A lot of people say I'm anal about it, but I'm trying to keep. I don't trust power companies. I think they're, they if they can take advantage of somebody, they would. It's all about money. But I'm keeping everybody honest. So I hope you enjoyed the video.